Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Friday edition of Video Clips. And I will just mention a couple of things. Every Tuesday here at Wellness Forum, we have events, cooking classes, and we show movies and discussions and potlucks and that sort of thing. Every Thursday, we have Make Americans Free Again meetings, fellowship and conversation. We watch educational videos and discuss, and it's an opportunity to find your tribe. I'm encouraging everybody to do that in their areas too, people who have joined MAFA who are interested in congregating. We can have these meetings in houses starting with 2 people, or in an office like this, start with 2 people, and then it's 3 and 5 and 9, and that's how you grow a movement, is in all these areas, just adding people. That's going on. Conferences coming up very soon. Our conference is November 13 through 15 here in Columbus. Humans in the same room, congregating and learning. People crave that. They want to be around people. You want to be around people. I want to be around people. So we have some wonderful speakers coming. I hope that we know a lot of you are going to join us. Actually, we're going to have a nice big group. So anyway, those are things that are going on right now. We have new courses coming up for next year. We offer a ton of stuff here, ranging from career training to just if you're interested in learning more about cancer and heart disease and how to help others, just check out what we do, wellnessforumhealth.com. And of course, I post a forbidden video every week on wellnessforumhealth.com. And I'm going to start posting like the past 3 newsletter articles for some of you who are trying to get the newsletter in your email. Our email to you is being blocked. But if you want to get the forbidden news via email, pampopper@msn.com is my email address. So look, every week on Monday or Tuesday, we post a new forbidden video. We have the forbidden video collection. Those will all be, you'll see there's a link. And we have to do that because, the editing, we'll put it that way, is alive and well on some of these social media spots, as we all know. All right, so on Fridays, I talk about consequences. And actually, I guess all week I've been talking about consequences, including yesterday's video, all about what we're dealing with here. But I've always talked about the dreadful things that people have been going through. And so I have 3 stories to share with you today. One comes from a member of our family. When I say our family, our affiliates and the people associated with Wellness Forum Health all over the country. And here goes. My grandmother contracted COVID-19 and was hospitalized earlier this year. She had all the risk factors, meaning she was elderly, lived in a nursing home, and had comorbidities. After struggling to breathe for several days due to COVID, she miraculously recovered, but the illness left her bedridden and she needed rehabilitation. She was denied entry into a rehab unit because she had tested positive for the virus. Several weeks went by, and my grandmother continued to decline. Every time the nursing home tried to send her to rehab, she was denied due to continuing to test positive for the virus. I contacted my aunt, who was in charge of her care, and begged her to get a second opinion. I provided evidence showing a person could test positive for COVID-19 for up to 6 months. With this evidence, my aunt was able to argue for better care, and my grandmother was granted a move-in date at a long-term rehab unit, but it was too late. She took a bad fall and needed surgery. Her surgery was delayed because when the surgical team looked at her electronic medical records, they saw she was positive for COVID, and they would not admit her. She died alone in a nursing home surrounded by masked strangers. I wish to make one thing clear. My grandmother did not die of COVID. She died from the horrible mismanagement by incompetent medical professionals. The worst part was her death was labeled as COVID-19. I want you to know my grandmother was truly an angel on earth who cared more for others than for herself. She was quick to forgive and easy to love. I'm trying to honor her spirit by behaving in the same way, but I find it difficult to walk down this path. Please add her name to the ever-growing list of names of people who have died with COVID and not from COVID. Her name was Marilyn Klubine. And I totally sympathize. I was very, very close to my maternal grandmother. And closer to her than I was my mother. I was closer to almost everybody than I was to my mother, just to be clear about that. But anyway, I was really close to my maternal grandmother, and I spent a lot of time with her as a child. And as an adult, I used to go visit her every week and bring her treats and things of that nature on Friday. And after she died, I mean, it was difficult when she died, obviously. And she lived for a long life, and she spent 7 days in a hospital at the end of her life. Other than that, she lived on her own. But after she died, it took months before Friday was okay for me, because Friday afternoon was always when I would drop in and bring her something sweet from the bakery. My grandmother sure did love sweets. So boy, I really feel for my friend Shannon losing her grandmother, because that was, I want to say it was like the early 1990s or mid 1990s, and I still miss my grandmother. She was quite the character. Both of my grandparents were on my mother's side. Okay, so here's another one. All gut wrenching. My mom is in a nursing home in Fargo, North Carolina. I live in South Dakota. Fargo, North Dakota. I live in South Dakota. I've been going home every other weekend for the last almost 2 years since we had to move my mom into a nursing home. And I see her and my dad, who still lives at home. We used to spend basically all day with her, and now, of course, visitation is extremely limited. I have reached out to a few attorneys regarding lawsuits, but have not heard back from anyone. I can guarantee you this isolation is more detrimental to both of my parents. My mom, who is in the late stages of dementia and is extremely frail, and my dad, who has severe COPD, is in the late, than the virus itself. It's killing me and my sister as well. We see the pain my dad is going through from being kept from his wife of over 55 years. They're limiting visits to 2 visits per week and only 2 people at a time. So my dad, my sister, and I cannot be with my mom as a family. Also, supposedly my mom tested positive back in April, which was sort of a blessing because we were able to see her face to face and actually touch her and hold her hands, etc. Now they're saying since it's been 90 days, they have to test her again every week, which of course she doesn't understand why they're shoving something up to her sinuses and also telling us we're not supposed to touch her and need to be masked up and 6 feet away. How the heck is she supposed to know who we are? We had a pastor from Mom's facility meet with us during one of our visits earlier this summer when they were outside visits and 4 people were allowed at a time. He told us he's done more funerals for the elderly who have just given up than he has for those dying from the virus. That says a lot. Also, my dad is paying almost $12,000 out of pocket for my mom's care, and they're telling him he can only see her twice a week for a half hour. And this is just, it's horrible. And I reported, I think it was last week, I lose track. All the days are the same because they're just all working days, which is fine. I'm not complaining, by the way. I'm very committed to what I'm doing right now. I don't mind doing it. And there's nothing I would rather be doing right now. But anyway, I reported on those nursing home patients in Colorado who had the signs, we're not afraid to die of COVID, where we don't want to die alone. And I think that that's the sentiment from a lot of older people. And Dr. Katz has talked about this, that you have to, the mitigation is what's needed. There's a difference between protection, but what we're doing goes beyond protection. We've never done anything like this before. And going back to my own grandmother, I can tell you this, I knew her as well as anybody did. I spent a lot of time with her, and I think I'm a lot like her. Actually, I think that's why we got along. We were kind of 2 peas in a pod in certain respects, not in all, but in certain respects. And if you had asked my grandmother to spend the last 10 years of her life, or the last year of her life, let's put it that way, last year of her life, without grandchildren, without family, without seeing anybody, and that might protect her from getting a virus that would kill her, she would have said absolutely not. She had one of the things that we did, we had a woman who took care of her, a licensed nurse, LPN, who she and her sister, who was also an LPN, took care of my grandmother so she could live independently. And they cooked together and they went to places together and all that sort of thing. That was what my grandmother's life was all about, was her friend, she became her friend Dee. It started as a hired employee, but they became friends. And they came to my house and they went to my mother's house and they would go shopping and to the movies and, all that kind of stuff. And I just think about how sad it would have been for her to be alone in that house, or alone well, she would have had to be in a nursing home. There would have been no way to keep her independent and separate from everybody. But But had she been in a nursing home with no contact, I think that would have killed her faster than old age, which is actually what took her in the end. And then I'll finish with this. A friend of ours is a dental hygienist and has to wear the new garb, and of course is miserable because of it. It's not just, this woman sent me a picture. It's not just a mask, but I mean, it's like you're in a hazmat suit to go to work every day. And she's of course miserable because of it. She's not allowed to mingle with her coworkers, nor can she take much of a break that she has to stay in her operatory between patients. There's an air filtration system that she has to monitor and breathe while waiting for her next appointment, all the while changing into her fresh garments. She eats her box lunch in her car. Well, I mean, just think about what this is all about. You go to work every day and everybody sits in a room. I'd go out of my mind. Then I got to go outside and eat my lunch in the car. I mean, my gosh. Well, the other day, after a 10-hour shift and suffering repeatedly from hypoxia, maybe she fell asleep at the wheel on her way home. She was very, very fortunate. She hit a guardrail. That in itself is amazing to me, and that she, like us, lives in a very rural area. There are not very many areas she drives by with guardrails. Could have been a head-on collision that might have killed her or innocent others. And this is the second time I've reported on an accident related to wearing masks all day. And it's a terrible practice, and it is hurting people, and this is just an example. So I get these stories every day. They're terrible. I said yesterday, I feel the angst that people are experiencing as a result of all this, and eventually we'll make it right. Just know that eventually we'll make it right. All right, well, that's it for today. It's it for the week. My email address is pampopper@msn.com. As usual, I'll finish by saying pass this on to people who want to learn more about what's going on right now. And I'll be back to you next week with more news. The Forbidden newsletters on Monday. If you want to subscribe, let me know. Forbidden news, forbidden videos posted on Monday or Tuesday. And of course, I'll put out more videos next week, and I'll have some news to report on lawsuits and related issues very soon. So participate in the MAFA calls. By the way, we've taped all these MAFA calls and put them on the website, makeamericans.com, so you can stay up to date that way too. All right, have a great weekend. I'll talk to you again next Tuesday.